Okay, here's a statement from one of the witnesses, and I don't know who it is because it's redacted. She said she was in her bedroom facing the sidewalk, so she had a pretty good view of the area. And she said she hears these voices, and she said one of the voices is very dominant. Just one of the voices, not two, just one. This is real important because some of the other people were saying that it was a big argument and two aggressive people, or like one lady thought that they were drunk. But this lady makes it real clear that it's only one voice that's aggressive. It's very dominant. She said, I heard loud voices. One was very dominant. But she didn't look out the window. She said the voices stopped when she went to read. She heard the loud voice again and looked to see who it was. And it was dark. She couldn't see because of the glare because of her nightlight. And she turned off the light. She knelt down to look, and she could see that one guy was on top of another. She said two people were on the ground, one on top of the other. At that time, she said she felt something really bad was going to happen. And so she called 911, and while she's talking on the phone, she said she could hear the horrifying yell for help and a second cry that was a yelp. And some people, I think, believe that that means that there were two people making a noise. That's not what it means, and here's where she makes it clear that that's not what it means. She said, I believe it was not the loud voice I had heard in the argument or the aggressive voice. So she was saying she was hearing this yelling for help and a crying, yelping noise, and that noise or that voice was not that of the loud voice you heard in the argument or the aggressive person who was belligerent. So she continues talking, and she's talking to the 911 operator and telling him about the horrible thing that's going on. She sees the man laying face down. She sees George get up and walk, 10 feet, back and forth 20 feet. So really, she didn't see a whole lot at that point. She tells about the police coming and taking him away. And she also says that she walked out the front door and she's talking to her neighbor. She says, I saw it. And her friend takes her to the police to tell, so she can tell the story. So they take her statement, and she gave this written statement at that point. So she gives the statement, and then she goes on and said, after she completed it, she cried and told him, I'll never forget the cries for help and wish I could have helped. Investigator Chris tells her that if it makes her feel any better, the cries for help were by the person, not by the person that died. And your statement was the same as other witnesses. I asked him if I could show him where I witnessed the shooting, and he said no, he didn't need to see it. The reason he didn't need to see it was, everything she said corroborated George, and so did the other witnesses. So the direction or where she saw it from doesn't much matter. Everything she said is in line. But the main reason I was bringing up her statement was I wanted to show that that there was really only one belligerent voice, and that was not George, because she says here that she hears two voices and only one is a dominant voice. So this tells us that only one was dominant. Then again, she tells us that the shooting occurred. Wait a minute. She said she hears the yelling. Here it is. Loud voice. She said she could hear yelling for help and a second cry that was a yelp. I believe it was not the loud voice I had heard in the argument or the aggressive voice. So here she's telling us again. The non-aggressive voice is the one crying out for help. The aggressive voice is not the one crying out for help. So now we know, according to this witness, Trevon is the aggressive voice. He's the one that came up yelling and being aggressive. George is the non-aggressive one. Thank you. Have a good night.